Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another broadcast of The Weekly with me, Neff. Please subscribe to the channel and share our videos with a couple of friends. Cool article today from WOR. This one was interesting as well. I'm sure you've all heard of this director, Mr. Michael Bay. But the interesting thing about the statements that Michael Bay has said, which we're going to talk about in this article, is that he cannot get a green light for any of his projects that he wants to put into production. So let's read into it, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Bay says no one can greenlight anything anymore. If you're wondering for some odd reason where Michael Bay has been these last few years, well, he's actually been struggling to greenlight any of his new projects. Michael Bay tells THR, The Hollywood Reporter, that he recently had a call with a certain famous director where they mourned the current state of Hollywood and wondered what in the hell is actually happening. This is a quote from Michael Bay. I just had a conference call with Jim Cameron, aka James Cameron, and we were both commiserating about Hollywood. No one can greenlight anything anymore. It's just so slow. It's a very different business, end quote. Funny thing to add to that, of course, he's talking to James Cameron, the man that's gotten multiple $300 million budget projects greenlit. Now, the reason that this has happened is because Avatar is a solid project. James Cameron worked on it for multiple years, probably put some of his own money up as well, and it just happened to be a $2 billion hit for each film that came out. Also, we have Avatar 3 Fire and Ash, which is going to be releasing in December, which I'm sure will probably do about $1 to $2 billion as well, especially because they said they're going to be working on the story a lot more to make it more depthy and intriguing for the audience and viewer, along with it being a visual spectacle. But let's continue, ladies and gents. Bay adds that one of the projects he's failed to get off the ground is Black 5, which has been described as an ensemble thriller that centers on an elite military team with an advanced technology. Kind of sounds like a mesh of other projects he's done before. I wonder if anybody out there heard of Six Underground. This was a Netflix film that was released by Michael Bay, and that was starring Ryan Reynolds. I do think Isaac Gonzalez was in that as well. It was a great ensemble of characters, and there was some decent talent on screen, and I actually liked Six Underground. Very interesting film, action-packed. It had the classic tropes of a Michael Bay film, a lot of explosions, a lot of action. I thought the story was actually pretty good as well. And then Ryan Reynolds was kind of there to be the main character, but also be comedic relief. So it was actually a really good balance. That film was really good, and it could still be streaming on Netflix. I definitely tell people to watch that film and advise that you do watch it. I recommend that film, Six Underground, that is from Michael Bay. But let's continue. Bay does have a project in the pipeline, Fast and Loose, starring Will Smith and set up over at Netflix. So he has another Netflix project in the works there. However, he says the film isn't necessarily a done deal until he actually witnesses cameras rolling with his own eyes. So that makes sense as well. He definitely wants to be in the mix before he can say that it is a go. Bay, best known for making big budget, high concept action films, has a style of filmmaking that can best be described as an assault to the senses, fast cutting, over stylization, slick cinematography, and lots of explosions. He's been attached to all sorts of projects these last 5 years, almost all of which still have not been shot. Bay's last film was 2022's Ambulance. He also directed 2019's Six Underground for Netflix. His most notable works include Bad Boys, which is my favorite on this list, The Rock, that was Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage, Armageddon, and Transformers. He also shot Pain and Gain with Dwayne Johnson and Mark Wahlberg, which was an interesting film as well. But that pretty much sums up the gist of this news here. Ladies and gents, what do you think about Michael Bay not being able to receive budgets to work on these projects that he wants to work on? Is it the fact that they're not tied to a huge IP at this point? That could be in question as well. We do know Hollywood does not want to take the risk, especially on these films that are expensive. Michael Bay films are not cheap films. I'd say at least $150 to $200 million if you factor in inflation at this point in time. Obviously, he uses a lot of practical effects as well. As we've talked about before, and it's an interesting topic, it seems like Hollywood is still trying to find its footing, trending downwards, to be quite honest, especially in the creativity department. They just don't want to take risk at the big studios. They rather just continue to milk an IP to death, come up with another sequel, a remake, presumably, or a reboot, and then run with that. Although it is a risk that is not as high as doing something that's fresh. Obviously, they don't know if the audience is going to be excited about it. And with that being said, most of those films that you see originality come from, whether it's good or bad, comes from the streamers. They're the ones that are going to put some money behind this type of stuff. You're not really going to see it from the big studios at this point. Hopefully there is a shift, but we will have to see what the future holds regarding this topic. Let me know what you think down in the comments about this article and what you think about Michael Bay's comments. Definitely want to hear that from you, ladies and gents. We can get a good conversation going there. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and ring the bell for notifications so you can keep getting cool updates like this from me, Neff. Also, share this video with a couple of friends and colleagues and let them know to subscribe as well. It definitely helps out the channel. We're trying to get to 500 subscriptions. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, be safe. It's Neff signing off.